What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Sunshine Cup, showcasing the buff duo of Shadow Nidoking and Nidoqueen, which both gained access to Poison Sting this season. However, I'm actually not running Poison Sting on the Nidoking, instead I'm running it with the Legacy fast move of Fury Cutter. Now I did actually already own a built Legacy Nidoking with Fury Cutter, but I kind of wanted to run a double Shadow backline, so I've just used an Elite TM for Fury Cutter, and honestly it was a lot more fun than I was expecting it to be. And it led to some of my most insane clutch wins I've had all season. Now I will say though, it was very hard to cover for the backline's weaknesses, as ground, water and ice types are all very common in this meta. In the end I opted for XL Elite, but there were definitely still lots of Pokemon that core broke this team. Anyways, with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What's the weirdest Pokemon you've ever used an Elite TM on, and which move did you get for that Pokemon? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Let's go into the first battle, leading Lileep into a Swampert. So this is definitely where we want to see it. Obviously not as dominant a matchup since I'm running the newly buffed Acid as the fast move, as they are resisting it. However, the opponent chips with a Hydro Cannon. I expect the opponent to try and make a catch, and they do. They swap into Dunsparce. This is a bit of an awkward matchup here for the Nidoqueen, of course. I'm going to resist the rollout damage, but Drill Run does hit for super effective. What it does mean, however, is they will not be able to fast move farm me down, so instead the opponent will be forced to throw a second Drill Run. The opponent does overfarm perfectly there just before I reach a second Earth Power. I thought if I shield there, it doesn't really help me that much, just because Swampert can come back in and fully fast move farm me down. So instead, I save my shields for the Shadow Nidoking here, and I just want to get really far ahead on energy. They fire off the Drill Run there. I'm actually going to continue to overfarm. I realize throwing now doesn't really help me because I will not outpace the Swampert to the move. So instead, I'm going to continue to overfarm, and the opponent actually forced to swap out there into Clodsire. Earth Power grabs a shield, but it drops their defense anyway, so now I'm going to continue to overfarm, fire off a second Earth Power, it gets the one shot, the opponent comes back in with the Swampert, I can snipe them with this Lileep, and I've got so much energy. Grass Knot gets the one shot there. We can actually make it to another Grass Knot up against the Dunsparce coming back in, and of course, Grass Knot gets the KO there, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into the next battle. You can see a Abomasnow in the lead. So this is definitely awkward for me, but I'm happy to see it here. Lileep is actually pretty bulky, similar bulk to the Credilli. I'm going to no-shield the first charge move here, as the opponent is going to go straight for a Weather Ball. We are going to throw on CMP, fire off the Ancient Power, and the opponent is also going to no-shield. So I tried to snipe with the Nidoking. Unfortunately, just barely not going to be able to do so. The opponent does swap out. They bank a charge move as well, but Earth Power connects up against the Gastrodon. It does big damage, and it puts them into farm down range, but this is still really awkward for me. They've got a Abomasnow with a charge move loaded. They've got Gastrodon with a charge move loaded. Honestly, there's just not a lot we can do here. They full send the Earth Power, they get the KO, and they do reach a last second Body Slam. Honestly, I probably should have no-shielded here, but I'm going to shield anyways. They come back in. They actually then swap into Big Barrel. That is a very interesting play there. I'm not sure if they were just trying to catch a Poison Fang or something, but we full send the Earth Power, and they no-shield. So at this point, we've actually got play. We can go for the Poison Sting farm down. I need to live a Weather Ball from this range, and let's find out. Weather Ball does not get the KO. The opponent going for that 2-shield flex, and it massively backfires as we get the farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into the next batch to see the same lead. So this time the opponent actually going to throw immediately here, not actually farming to the CMP tie. It doesn't really make a difference here. I'm not going to try and make a catch, as my backline is also going to be weak to ice. And we do tank it a lot more comfortably here. This time I'm actually choosing to just stay in with Lileep. We saw Nidoking wouldn't quite get a full Fury Cutter farm down if I tried to snipe them. So instead, we're going to come in with the Nidoqueen, get ahead on energy, and we do have double nukes here. So let's see. The opponent's going to come in with a Shadow Swampert, so I'm going straight for the Earth Power. Of course, I do not have the opportunity to bait, so we full send the nuke there, and unfortunately they do end up shielding. At this point, I think I'm going to have to let the Nidoqueen go down. Shadow Nidoking does have more fast move pressure with these Fury Cutters, and you can see they are actually kind of chunking up against this Swampert now. I don't know what they've got in the back here. It's quite risky to go for a Sand Tomb bait, as the opponent might end up no shielding, and it would not get the KO, so I full send the Earth Power, but unfortunately they do double shield their Shadow Swampert. But look at the damage we've dealt with the Fury Cutters. I'm committed. Nidoking to the farm down. We get the farm down, and they've got a Flygon in the back if it's Shadow. Then Earth Power gets the one-shot up against the Shadow Flygon, and somehow Shadow Nidoking coming in clutch to take that game. So, GG stuff on there. Into the next battle, we're going to see Macargo in the lead. And I'll be honest, even though technically the whole team has played into Macargo, I think I lost almost every single matchup up against a Macargo in the lead because I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do here. Obviously, they've got a Pokemon super weak to ground and weak to water in the back, so they might have something like a Abomasnow or, I don't know, like other Mud Boys in the back there, which means my backline is really going to struggle. So we are eventually going to swap into Nidoking. We go for Sandtomb, which does do a lot of damage, but they come in with a Swampert, and at this point, they're able to outpace me to that first charge move. I'm actually going to shield the Nidoking here. Remember, they have just debuffed my attack, so I feel like I have to go for Sandtomb here, but Sandtomb is gonna be called. It does very little damage. We do at least force a CMP tie here, and we will double debuff the defense, meaning maybe Nidoking can come in and fully Poison Sting farm them down, but Hydro Cannon gets the KO there, and honestly, it's not looking too good. The opponent's gonna swap back into Macargo. I'm gonna swap, make the catch onto Lileep, hoping this is gonna be an overheat, which it is, which means now we're taking less damage. I'm committing to the resisted Poison Sting farm down, and I do get that farm down, but I need like a Abomasnow or something in the back, something like where a Pokemon might not shield the first charge move, but unfortunately it's gonna be Credilli, and I cannot one-shot this Pokemon here, so the opponent might actually let this move go through here, expecting a Poison Fang bait. However, it does not help me out, as unfortunately it doesn't do enough damage. Grass Knot takes out the Nidoking, or sorry, the Nidoqueen there, and unfortunately I do lose that game. But GG top in there into next battle. You can see Talonflame in the lead, so this is perfectly fine with me. Of course, since I do have Ancient Power rather than Rock Tomb of the Credilli, I can outpace them to that first charge, force that first shield. And also, unless they Brave Bird me, I can tank anything fairly comfortably. They go for a Flame Charge here, however, that is not as comfortable as I was just stating, because now if the opponent wants to, they can double shield and probably fast move farm me all the way down, which I definitely do not want. So we're going to come in with the Nidoqueen. Of course, we've got that Stone Edge coverage, but they're going to easily outpace me to back-to-back charge moves. So suddenly, I'm forced to double shield my Shadow Nidoqueen. Definitely not ideal, but I'm now going to overfarm, fire off 4 Poison Stings here, go for that Stone Edge, just guarantee the KO. Stone Edge obviously takes out the Talonflame there, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. They've just seen Stone Edge, but they're going to come in with a Shadow Abomasnow, and it's going to be Stone Edge number 2 for the one-shot there. Their final Pokemon is going to be Credilli, and Nidoking has a great matchup here when all shields are down. The opponent, of course, going to go for the Grass Knot, but we tank that fairly comfortably. Acid is double resisted. We can fire off the Earth Power. Earth Power doesn't quite get the KO there, but we Fury Cut to farm them down, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG up in there into next battle. We're going to see a Shadow Flygon in the lead. So, this is a bit awkward for me. I've got 2 Pokemon with resisted fast move pressure. I'm just going to full send the Grass Knot here, and the opponent is actually going to no shield, so I do not mind that whatsoever. They farmed up to the potential Scorching Sands. I'm going to shield, and it is. So, now I'm going to bank some energy, swap into Nidoking, get that Snipe with the Fury Cutter damage, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. The opponent's going to come in with a Shadow Abomasnow, so once again, a bit awkward for me, but I do have Fury Cutter. I can debuff the defense here with the Sandtomb, and these Fury Cutters are now absolutely chunking. So at this point, I'm going to let the Nidoking go down there. We do have a slight energy advantage with our Lileep, so we're going to come back in with the Lileep. We can go for 2 Acids here and throw just before they reach a second Weather Ball, and Ancient Power is going to grab the final shield, but we get the boost, and at this point, I'm like, okay, fine, I'm going to have to shield this, commit to a farm down. I was not going to shield that. I was going to save my shields for the Nidoqueen, and actually, I should have done so because they've got Macargo in the back. I'm not going to reach back-to-back charge moves, so I'm forced to swap out here. They're going to go for an Overheat. Overheat is going to one-shot me, but now because we've debuffed, well, we forced them to debuff their own attack there, I can reach the Ancient Power. Ancient Power gets the KO, and we do at least get a simultaneous KO there. However, if I didn't get the boost with a leap, I would have just saved my shields for the Nidoqueen, and it would have been a very comfortable win. But GG's to that trainer there. Into the next battle. Very awkward lead as we see an Ice Fang Hippowdon, but they're non-shadow, so actually not taking that much damage here. The opponent's going to swap into Credilli. Credilli, so we're going to come in with the Nidoking here, and we are going to call the opponent is just going to bait, and they do. They go for Rock Tomb, perfectly fine with me. I'm now going to overfarm, throw on the CMP type. I've been debuffed, so this might not get the KO here, but Earth Power actually does knock them out there. They come back in with the Ice Fang Hippowdon. We've just shown the Earth Power. I'm going to bait with a Sand Tomb, and we grab the shield there. We drop the defense. It doesn't really make a difference. I still need a charge move to get the KO here, so we're going to go for that Grass Knot straight away as we come in with Lileep, and we grab the final shield. The opponent committing to a very aggressive farm down, underestimating the energy generation. We get the KO with the Grass Knot, and their final Pokemon is a Swampert. This would be an issue for me, but I've still got a 2-shield advantage here. We full send the Earth Power. Earth Power does big damage, and I can probably just double shield, commit to a full fast move farm down here. The opponent might just barely reach a 3rd Hydro Cannon, but if they do, the Leap can come in and acid farm them down. So the opponent, recognizing there's nothing they can do, and so they just concede the match. So, GG to opponent there into next battle. See Shadow Quagsire in the lead, and they are on Water Gun as the fast move, so going to be slightly slower to reach those charge moves, but more fast move pressure up against my backline. So, happy to see it here. We're going to go straight for the Grass Knot. There's no point in baiting here. Grass Knot is going to actually connect. It gets the one shot, but the opponent comes in with a Piloswine, and this is super awkward for me. I'm going to bait here, expecting a shield. We're now going to swap into Shadow Nidoking, and this is definitely not ideal for me, but we're going to shield this. The opponent fires off the Icicle Spear. The opponent's then going to bank a little bit of energy, swap into Big Barrel though, and I'm actually resisting the fast move pressure, so I'm going to throw on CMP. Earth Power actually gets the one shot there, and at this point, I make a huge mistake. I should just go for Sand Tomb here. Sand Tomb guarantees defense drop. It also, well, I mean, we get the defense drop anyways, but it doesn't help because I've only got resisted fast move pressure now for the rest of my team. We can come in with the Nidoqueen. At this point, I was expecting the opponents would have to full send a high horsepower to get the one shot here, but you're going to see Icicle Spear does huge damage. I'm not going to reach a charge move. I'm forced to swap out. The opponent does throw here, and maybe they could have farmed me down. Either way, it doesn't really matter, as unfortunately, we just barely missed out on the charge move, but GG's to that trainer there. Of course, if I just went for Sand Tomb, I think I probably would have won that game, but into the next battle, we're going to see a Shadow Flygon in the lead, so we're going to go straight for Grass Knot here. Once again, don't really see the point in baiting. The opponent is going to shield here, so okay, I guess I should have baited in this situation, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to shield the first move here. The opponent is going to go for a Dragon Claw, then swapping into Credilli. So once again, we come in with the Nidoking, what the heck, with the Nidoking. I'm going to... well, I can't speak. Again, I'm going to no shield, and again, they just can't help it. They have to go for that bait there, which is fine with me. We go for the Earth Power. Earth Power doesn't actually get the one shot, though, so at this point, I'm perfectly fine with just letting this move go through. Rock Tomb will get the KO. I think I'm going to come in, get an energy advantage with my Nidoqueen, and the opponent has a Talonflame in the back, and surely they don't know. We are full sending the Stone Edge right now. Stone Edge! Gets the one shot up against the Talonflame, and that should be game over. I can reach the Earth Power. I've also got a Grass Knot on my Lileep, so we're going to come in, go for the snipe with that Grass Knot, and from this range up against Shadow Flygon, Grass Knot gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG to opponent there into the next battle. You can see Lileep into Macargo. So I did already mention I really had a rough time up against Macargo leads. This time we are going to stay in once again, and I'm going to go for the Ancient Power. I think last time they did no shield, or maybe they shielded. I actually can't remember. This time they're going to no shield though, and at this point I think I'm just going to no shield as well. If they overheat me, then fair play, but the opponent is going to go for a Rock Tomb bait there. Absolutely fine with me. I'm going to fire off the Ancient Power, but once again I do have to remember, since they've got Macargo in the lead, they're probably going to have answers to ground type and water type Pokemon in the back, in which case my backline is really going to struggle. They do go for back-to-back Rock Tombs there. I'm going to come in with my Nidoking, and I think I'm going to have to just go straight for a Sand Tomb here. Sand Tomb, of course, is double super effective. It's not a good move, but it definitely gets the KO from that range. But let's see what the opponent has. The opponent comes in with a Piloswine, and honestly, things are not looking too good for me, but I'm going to shield this. The opponent fires off the Icicle Spear. I'm full sending the Earth Power, and then I will swap into my Nidoqueen. But the opponent actually going to no shield, but they've got a Swampert in the back, and unfortunately, I just don't think there's anything I can do here. But the opponent might expect a bait from the Nidoqueen, so we might as well shield. We might as well full send the Earth Power, and I need the opponent to no shield here, and they actually do, and maybe, just maybe, I can Fury Cutter farm them down. It's going to be super, super close. Hydro Cannon gets the KO. It's a battle of the fast move pressure, and unfortunately, Nidoking falling just short. going down to the mud shots there. But honestly, considering the team I just faced, I feel like my backline put in a lot of work there. But GG's to that trainer. Into the next battle, another Talonflame in the lead. Gonna go straight for that Ancient Power. Ancient Power, gonna be shielded. And again, I'm just gonna no-shield this. The opponent is gonna go straight for a fly, which is fine with me. Then gonna swap into Credilli. So once again, coming in with the Nidoking. Every single time so far, they have baited with a Rock Tomb. And this time is no different. I guess in the zero shield scenario, technically, they can win this if I don't throw a Sand Tomb and an Earth Power. If Earth Power doesn't get the KO, but it actually does take them out here. So possibly just not the best IVs on their Credilli. Unfortunately, I don't have any Rock type coverage on my Nidoking, so just going to go for a Sand Tomb here. The opponent is going to no shield, but now we can come back in with a Lily. Honestly, I thought I had slightly more energy there, so this might be a mistake, but the opponent's going to come in with a Flygon. I'm going straight for the Grass Knot, and Grass Knot is going to grab the final shield. Now, Nidoking does have the tools to win this game here with Nukes, with Stone Edge, with Earth Power, but I'm going to need to make a catch. The opponent, I believe they have 5 Dragon Tails worth of energy, so I'm going to shield this. I'm going to wait for 3 more Dragon Tails. I'm then going to swap, catch the charge move onto my Nidoking, but I do still need to overfarm. Dragon Claw gets the KO there. Going to go for 2. I make sure the opponent does not make the catch there. We can go for the Earth Power, get the one shot, and I will be able to outpace the Talonflame to a Stone Edge up against this Talonflame. And of course, Stone Edge gets the one shot, and I'm able to take this game. So GG's to that trainer into next battle, and again another Macargo. So this time maybe I swap out straight away, and I do, but the opponent swaps at the same time, and this is really awkward for me. You're going to see Sand Tomb is probably going to grab a shield from the opponent, but the opponent can just commit to a full Dragon Tail farm down before I even reach a second Sand Tomb. That is honestly pretty embarrassing from the Nidoking there, but we're going to come in with Lily. We're going to no-shield this. I'm hoping 2 shields and a Nidoqueen can somehow sweep this game, but honestly, I just can't see it happening here. But let's see what we can do. We're going to come in with an Nidoqueen. I'm going to commit to a Poison Sting farm down here. Of course, I know I can one-shot the Macargo. It just depends what their final Pokemon is. And unfortunately, that's one of the worst things we can see, as Earth Power is going to hit for neutral damage. It does respectable damage there, but Poison Sting is going to be resisted. So at this point, gonna have to shield. The opponent does go for that Power Whip. I'm now going to overfarm, throw just as they are reaching another charge move. I could go for one and swap, but I feel like that's too risky just in case they threw straight away. So the opponent is going to overfarm here just a little bit. Fire off the Power Whip. I did not throw on Leap on purpose there, just because I realized Ancient Power not going to do much damage whatsoever, and it would allow them to overfarm. We throw on CMP. They come back in with Macargo. I reached the Earth Power. I didn't throw straight away just because I thought the opponent might try and swap back into Flygon, but Earth Power gets the one shot. But unfortunately, I needed 2 Poison Stings to land up against that Flygon, and as a result, I go down to the Dragon Tail damage, and unfortunately, I do lose that game. But GG's to that trainer there. Into next battle, we're going to see a Shadow Gligar. This is honestly an awful Pokemon for my entire team. I'm going to stay in here, of course, taking super effective Fury Cutter damage. But if I swap into one of my Nidos in the back, first of all, Nidoking completely walled. And Nidoqueen also not going to do that well, needing to throw a Stone Edge to get the one shot. So instead, I'm actually just going to play out the zero shield scenario, shield once with my Nidoking, and then go for a very aggressive Fury Cutter farm down. We're going to shield the dig there. We get that farm down, and they come in with Credilli, and I make a big mistake there. I go to over 100 energy. What am I even doing here? And as a result, because we go to 100, I just barely miss out on reaching a second Earth Power here before they debuff me with the Rock Team, which is very frustrating. I'm still going to be able to win this matchup. Again, farming up to 100. This time it's okay, as Earth Power gets the one shot, but they've got Talonflame in the back. Now, honestly, they might no-shield the first charge move here. That is definitely what I'm hoping for. So we're going to shield the Flame Charge. We are going for that Stone Edge. Please, trainer, let this go through. Stone Edge is actually shielded here, and suddenly I think I've thrown this game away here. But we are, of course, going to still play this out. Flame Charge, boosting up their attack. I fire off the Earth Power. This is resisted damage, but Earth Power actually gets the one shot up against the Talonflame. What the heck was even that? Honestly, I thought that was game over there, but somehow Nidoking putting in the work despite my misplays and taking that game. But GG's to that opponent into next battle. We're going to see a Talonflame in the lead once again. I feel like pretty much every lead was a fire type, which is really interesting because yesterday pretty much every lead I saw was a ground type Pokemon. But anyways, we are going to no shield as again, they go for the fly there. Luckily for me, they don't go for flame charge and boost up their attack, which could start to allow Talonflame to get out of hand, but I'm still going to be forced to swap out of this matchup and into my Nidoqueen. So going to shield here as the opponent full sends a Brave Bird. That's absolutely fine with me, but they're going to come in with Furret, a Pokemon that can tank an Earth Power fairly comfortably, and I will not be able to commit to a Poison Sting farm down. So at this point, I think I am going to no shield this. They go for Trailblaze, boosting up their attack, and I can just barely reach another Charge Move here. Doesn't really matter what I throw. Earth Power gets the KO there. I'm going to swap out straight away into my Nidoking, and so far, every single Credilli has baited, so I think I'm going to no shield, but they actually go for the Grass Knot this time around. However, we've just seen Earth Power does a lot of damage to the Talonflame, but this time it does not get the KO, and as a result, they can actually double resisted acid farm me down there. That is certainly not ideal, but Lileep coming in. Of course, I'm going to shield. They're probably going to go and debuff my attack. So as soon as I do reach the energy for a Grass Knot, I'm swapping out. I'm clearing the debuff. Can we get the KO with the Grass Knot? It's going to be close. Grass Knot actually does not take them out, but we get the acid farm down. And Lileep able to take out Credilli to take that game. So, GG's to open there into the next battle, and honestly, this is so scary. We're going to see Hisuian Zoroark, a Pokemon where my entire team only has resisted fast through pressure. Luckily for me, I feel like the opponent will bait with a foul play, so I'm going to be forced to no shield, and the opponent does exactly that, which means now I can shield, and I can get all shields down from this Zoroark. Except, no, I can't, because the opponent swaps into Furret, and for whatever reason, instead of banking the energy, I throw there, and Grass Knot really does not do much damage. I'm still going to be forced to throw an Earth Power up against this Furret here, because of course Sand Tomb doesn't do much damage, and yeah, I don't really know why I played that out like I did. So instead, we're going to throw at the last possible second there, giving this Zoroark only one extra Shadow Claw's worth of energy if they come back in, which they do, but still really tricky situation to be in. So at this point, I am going to, of course, have to shield here. They're probably going to foul play me once again, but even then, foul play going to do big damage. I'm going to overfarm, swap, try to make the catch, but the opponent swaps at the exact same time. And whilst I do have Stone Edge here, I can go for the one-shot. The opponent just going to save their shield for the Zoroark. They don't even need it, as they can outpace me to likely a Shadow Ball, taking out the Nidoqueen, and unfortunately, I do lose that game. But GG's to that trainer there. Into the next match, we're going to see a Flygon with a very cool hat in the lead. I don't remember what event that's from, but anyways, we are going to no-shield the first charge move. They do go straight for a Dragon Claw there, not even throwing on good timing. I'm going to go for one Acid, fire off the Grass Knot here. If they let this go through, maybe I can snipe with the Nidoking, and Nidoking just barely able to get that Fury Cutter farm down. Looks like the opponent was possibly lagging there slightly. It's kind of hard to tell. It might have just been a bit stuttery, but either way, we go for the Earth Power. Earth Power grabs the shield. We drop the defense, and I also feel like I got super lucky with the amount of times I dropped the defense with Earth Power. I believe it's like a 1 in 8 chance, but I feel like I got it pretty much in every other battle, which is kind of crazy. But anyways, we are going to let them farm me down here. I believe, well, I think I'm expecting this to be the FP Sticks line with Talonflame in the back. Shout out to FP Sticks, by the way. One of the OG Pokemon Go PvP content creators, recently getting back into the game, or at least back into content creation anyways. And still very good at the game, apparently. I think he's hit Legend, or he might be very close to. He's definitely on the leaderboards. But anyways, it's going to be a shiny Shadow Credilli. And I do want to mention, I'm not actually playing up against FB Sticks. This is just his team. And at this point, once again, we're going to call that they're going for the Rock Tomb bait. And they do exactly that. Credilli uses, you can actually win more games if you just went for the move that was neutral. But anyways, I'm going to throw on CMP here, just in case the opponent does have a charge move on the Furret and I lose CMP. I don't think that would be the case. But anyways, we get that Poison Sting farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's to that opponent there into the next battle, and despite the fact I've got a Rock type and 2 Ground type Pokemon, Salazzle actually caused me all kinds of problems as well, so I only saw maybe 1 or 2 of them, but you're going to see in this battle, I heavily underestimate the energy generation that they had here. So I'm going to swap out, try to catch a Poison Fang there. The opponent does not throw straight away, and they swap into a Chestnut, so very interesting team so far. I'm going to go for a Sand Tomb bait here, just because I realize they're going to no-shield anyways, but now because I've debuffed them, resisted Earth Power actually gets the KO there, which is huge for me, but the opponent can now come in and fully incinerate farm me down. Now at this point, I thought they had 80 energy. I thought they'd thrown 4 incinerates since their last Poison Fang. So we come in, I'm gonna no shield as they blind throw. They go for Poison Fang, and again, I'm gonna no shield this, expecting another Poison Fang, but nope, that's the Dragon Pulse. What am I doing there? Honestly, like, the fact that they threw straight away should have been so obvious that they weren't just gonna go for another Poison Fang, but for whatever reason, I didn't shield there, and as a result, I mean, we still have a slither of hope here, but it's going to be a very dicey endgame matchup here. I need to somehow put them into range where I can Poison Sting, farm them down with the Nidoking, and come out at least 1 away, maybe 2 away from a Stone Edge on my Nidoking. So we go for Ancient Power, we're trying to go for it, but that's not going to be the case. They can actually just swap out there, and as a result, we had the Ancient Power, no point throwing, they've still got a shield, and unfortunately, I do lose that game. But GG's to the opponent there. Salazzle, probably one of my favorite Pokemon ever in Pokemon Go, so don't feel too bad ending up losing to it. Well, I can't even talk there. Anyways, into next battle, we're going to see a Shadow Swamp, but the opponent's going to say swap into Credilli. So once again, we come in with the Nidoking, just going to no-shield that first charge move. And what a surprise, they go for Rock Tomb there. Now, they are on Bullet Seed, so they've actually got a decent amount of fast-through pressure here, whereas, of course, Acid is double resisted, and Earth Power barely does not get the KO there. So actually, going for Rock Tomb might have been the play. I mean, I probably could have no-shielded that one as well, since they went for it a second time, but they do finally grab a shield. I'm double debuffed, I go for Earth Power. I don't really know why, it doesn't make a difference there. I was trying to stall out the clock there, but I should have just gone for Sand Tomb, both of which wouldn't have done much damage anyways, but I'm able to reach another Ancient Power before the opponent can throw a move. The opponent is now going to overfarm. They are farming to 100 energy, but I cannot afford to shield here. So of course, losing CMP, they go for the Flame Charge there. And at this point, we're in a really tricky situation. So we're going to come in with the Nidoking. I am going to swap, catch the charge move there onto my Nidoking as the opponent once again goes for a Flame Charge. They're going to come back in with Shadow Swampert, and I can outpace them to the Earth Power. But I go for a slight undercharge, and that actually ends up making me get the full farm down there. And now I can just safely shield this up. They're not going to be at back-to-back charge moves. We shield up the Flame Charge, and now, of course, I can go for the Stone Edge. This is double super effective. I don't hit any bubbles, we get the KO there, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. Now, if you want to take your support to the next level, you can become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments of every video. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has become a channel member already. Your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.